Hey Teal Nation, Sam Weiderhaft here, and it's a great day because we're talking to the new man in charge of Coastal Carolina Athletics, Mr. Chance Miller. Chance, appreciate the time. So great to talk to you and meet you for the
Appreciate
first
you
time.
having me.
It's a really exciting time at Teal Nation. Your introductory press conference now was a few weeks back. You've got some time to kind of settle in and get here to Conway. What have the last few weeks been like for you just getting started?
Yeah, they've been a whirlwind getting started. We announced it, what was that, 3-4 Thursdays ago? So that Thursday when President Benson called me, offered me the job, we did the press release real quick, got it out there, and then Friday morning, my wife and I and the kids packed up the car. We came down to Conway and got started. We rolled in here. Coach Beck called us. He had a couple of recruits in, and so we spent the whole weekend with him and the recruits and the team, trying to get to know everybody. Coach Gray and his staff got invited over to a donor's house on Father's Day and had a big pool party, so they invited us over there. And my kids got to meet the basketball athletes and play with them. My son was riding down the water slide with them. So it was nice in those first couple of days to get going, and then had the press conference, and since then it's been go. Been meeting with donors, been meeting with staff members, coaches, and just trying to get the lay of the land here and get up to speed and get ready for my first official start date. I think it's Tuesday now.
Coming up soon.
Yeah.
That first time you stepped on campus at Coastal Carolina and got to Conway for the first time, what were some of the first things that really stuck out to you and your first impressions of this whole area?
I think the area is really growing. Being in South Carolina for the last 11 years, I did some fundraising events over here. But every time I've come back to the Myrtle Beach Conway area, just the growth that I've seen and the growth in this campus. I remember when I was younger coming down through here, we used to vacation here a lot, and seeing the campus and how it's grown exponentially has been really impressive. Looking at the facilities, really excited to be able to utilize these facilities and help them grow. And then the staff has been wonderful. From President Benson and his executive council staff all the way to the staff here in athletics have just been so welcoming, and I think everybody's really excited to get this thing going.
During the hiring process, when did it become clear that this was the right spot to not only move your family but start a new career at Coastal Carolina?
Being in South Carolina for 11 years, you start to look at what are those jobs that I would leave for, because we had a really good spot in Columbia. That's where my kids were born. Lauren and I really loved it there, but we'd always talk about what's that next jump to become an athletics director and where would we go. And Coastal was always one of those places that I looked at and said, if this ever came open, that's a place that I really want to be. And the day that it was announced that Matt was stepping aside, Matt's a friend. I called Matt, and he was actually my first phone call. And I said to him, what do you think? What do you like about the community, the athletics department, the staff? And he couldn't speak more highly of the place, and really encouraged me, you need to look at this. And so I went all in, put my application in, started talking to President Benson. And the more I got to know people here throughout the interview process and look at President Benson's strategic plan and his pillars, they really matched up with a lot of what I wanted to do as an athletics director. And I've had time, in my previous role to really run the day-to-day of an athletics department and know this is what I would do if I stepped into the chair. So being able to work through that and know that in the back of my mind of these are the things that I want to see, and then meeting with President Benson and the staff there and knowing that those are going to go in the same direction really excited me, right? And looking at the foundation that we have here, from the winning success to the facilities that we have and the staff that we have in place, I knew I could come in here and be able to hit the ground running.
Your career has taken you many different spots, most recently South Carolina, but when did becoming an athletic director become a realistic goal for you?
Yeah, that was always a goal of mine. When I got to college, actually in high school, this is really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an athletics director. And went to college and worked in every sports aspect that I could. I did arena football, minor league baseball. I ran concession stands at the Parks and Recs. I wanted to touch every different department. Yeah. And kind of bounced around a little bit, wanted to get a graduate degree, so I went to law school, but worked at the NFL in their general counsel's office and really got to know the inner workings of contract negotiations. And then went to the NCAA and really got to meet a lot of different people throughout Division I, II, and III athletics, and really spent some time getting to know athletics directors and what they liked, what they didn't like, what were some of their challenges and what were some of their achievements. And when it was time to go to a campus, went to South Carolina. And my goal when I walked in the door, even though I was walking in as assistant AD, was to eventually be an athletics director.
Yeah.
And I told my wife and my friends and family, I want to be an AD by the time I'm 40. I missed it by a month. I turned 41 recently.
Close enough.
Yeah, it was close enough. I don't like missing my goals, so that one sticks at me a little bit.
Yeah.
But this was the right place, and I want to reiterate that to the fans and the staff and the community here that I didn't want to be an AD just to be an AD somewhere. I wanted to be an AD at the right place, and this was the place.
You talk about this being the right place, and you hear this term thrown out with teams, what's a team's identity, right? Mm-hmm. With Coastal Carolina as a whole in this ever-changing college sports environment, what would you say the Chanticleer's identity is?
Looking at that, I think I've got to spend some more time to really hone in on that, but from an outsider standpoint, it compete at a high level, especially in a smaller conference, right? But to be able to win a national championship in baseball at this level, you've really got to compete at a high level to do that. And watching what football has done, watching what lacrosse has done, and soccer has been competitive, I just look at this place and see that if we can really take that next step, this is a place and a community and an area that when you look at the ever-changing world of college athletics, people are going to want to be a part of Coastal Carolina, right? Conferences are going to want Coastal Carolina to be a part of their conference. And I look at where we're at in the Sun Belt right now. The Sun Belt is competitive.
Yeah.
I know in my time at the SEC when we're scheduling games, you didn't want to schedule Sun Belt teams, right? That's right. Going to be a tough weekend. It's going to be a tough night for you. And I want that to be even harder, right? And we're going to find the resources that we need to be able to take our teams to that next level.
You've shook the hands, you've done the interviews, done the speeches, and you're starting real soon in that office. Yeah. What are some of those first objectives that you want to cross out in those first few weeks?
So for the past couple of weeks, and what I'm going to do for the next 30 days is really try to meet everybody that I can, not just the staff, the coaches, but the stakeholders around the community, our donors. I've been on the phone with a lot of our donors so far. There's a lot more that I've got to get to. Mm-hmm. I'm actually meeting with the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow. I've got a meeting with the mayor coming up of Conway and the mayor of Myrtle Beach. Just trying to get a lay of the land of who are those people that can really help us be able to take this to a next level. And then trying to figure out what systems do we need in place that'll help us grow our reach, right? Help bring in new donors to the area and to the community, help grow our fan base and be able to get more people into the stands and to the arena to be able to support our student athletes.
Yeah, you mentioned in your press conference that game day experience that you were able to help build up at South Carolina and really make something great. What are some aspects of that experience that you can see, coming over to Coastal Carolina?
That's a big thing that I love to do. I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Mm-hmm. I love going to events and seeing how concourses flow, how concessions flow, how people get in and out of a stadium. What I've always told people is, we're dealing with college athletes, and you can train them and prepare them and give them everything they need. But at the end of the day, they're 18 to 22-year-olds, right? You don't know, you can't control what they do once they step on the field and on the court and on the pitch of play. But what we can control as an athletic department staff is the experience of fans from the time they get here until the time they leave. And so really trying to find those things that I thought we did well and were able to implement at South Carolina that we can bring here. What are those things? One of the biggest complaints you always hear about is concession lines.
Sure.
How do you make those better? You've got to be able to work through that. You've got to look at the fan engagement throughout the game. And those are things that I want to do. I asked Alex the other day for some raw footage of the game film so I could watch it start to finish, both at football and basketball, to see, okay, when are we playing music at the right time? What do we need to add to it? And I've already had discussions with President Benson and his executive council about there's some things that we need to add to some of our facilities that I think fans are going to be really excited about.
So you're just like the players. You're studying game film yourself.
Yeah, I'm not reading defenses, but
right.
I'm trying to get a feel for the game, and I want to see what traditions that we have here that we can still keep, but be able to take those to another level and be able to implement some new things that people are going to be excited about.
Sure. Chance, I want to close it out with this one, but your first year, what are some things that fans can look forward to in this first year under a Chance Miller leadership?
Yeah, I think the fan experience is going to drastically change. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. There are going to be some things that we try that maybe people don't like, right? I want people to give us feedback. I want to know what people like about our events and our stadiums and our arena, and be able to give us the feedback that we can build upon, right? And we're going to be out in the community a lot. You're going to see me, my wife, my family. We're going to be at all the events. We're going to be part of this community, and that's important to us, that we're part of the community, not only growing the athletics department, but the university and the community as a whole.
Yeah, well, Chance, appreciate the time, man. We're excited to have you here.
Yeah,
and
excited
for
to
the
be
future.
here. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Exciting day in Teal Nation.